Welcome back to the Sam Sorbo Show. So, for a little bit of a diversion, my guest now is one of the best drummers in the world. You've probably seen him if you go to any concert anywhere. His name is Zorro, and he's written a memoir called Maria's Scarf. Welcome to the program.
Hey, how you doing, Sam?
It's great to see you.
Good to
So,
see you.
we're talking about your memoir, but it's more than a memoir. It's really the story that you intend to give people a nudge in the right direction, a push to greatness, if you will, because you came from very little and you accomplished a great deal. And we've got some B-roll we're going to show the audience on some of the places that you've been in your life. Um, but I want to talk about the book. It's called Maria's Scarf. It's a memoir of a mother's love. And you know, I got to love that because I'm a mom. You've become this world renowned drummer. How did that happen?
Quite simply through the power of a mother's love. I was raised by a single mother who raised seven children alone. She was an immigrant from Mexico City, but she filled my head with dreams when I was a young boy, and she made me feel as if I could do anything, no matter what our circumstances that looked otherwise. So she had this incredible faith in the Lord. She had incredible faith in her children. And when I was about 7 years old, I wanted to wear one of her scarves in my second grade school picture because I wanted to look different. There was like a budding rock star in me that wanted to come out. And I talked her into letting me wear her orange silk scarf. And she knelt down and said that one day I would do something phantasmical with my life. So she kind of made a prophetic decree, but it wasn't only just that one time, it was throughout my entire life. We had so many obstacles to overcome, from fatherlessness to poverty to abandonment to bullying to racism. Just about everything you could throw at me was thrown at me, but she had this incredible faith in God and in her children, and that God would do something through her children that was amazing. And I guess I believed it, and I worked very, very hard as a drummer to do what I've done as a profession for the last 45 years. But mainly, the grace of God, hard work, perseverance, determination. But I would say it was the mother's love that made it all possible.
Just out of curiosity, you have six siblings. How did they end up?
They all ended up great. They all ended up succeeding in their own world, and we're all still close today. There's seven of us, and I talk to my younger brother Bobby probably 3 or 4 times a day. He's 18 months younger than me. So we remain close, and everybody succeeded at the thing that they were called to do. I just simply recognized that God had given me a rhythmic gift at a young age, but it was kept from me until I was about 16. It wasn't until I was a janitor at my own high school that I was discovered as the janitor when I would sneak in the band room and practice, even though I had never played or never owned a set of drums. And that's where the band director discovered me and put me in all the school bands. But the talent was there from the beginning because God gave it to me. It just didn't get uncovered until I was 16. But at that point, I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and I felt like God put it in my heart to be a drummer, also to be a preacher, a speaker, and a writer. And those are all the things that I've worked on in the last 45 years.
So what you were working as a student and you were attending high school, but you were working as the janitor. And so as a
Yeah,
student, he could say, I know you're doing janitorial services, but we could use a drummer for the band. And that started
yeah.
your career. That's really
That's
incredible.
that started my career because I was a junior in high school. I was going into my junior year, but I was my after school job in my sophomore year was that of the custodian at my own high school. So the bell would ring at 3:30. I would clean the toilets, and the kids would make fun of me, call me all kinds of names because my mother was Mexican and we were living in rural Oregon. So it was a very hostile situation. But I took the job because it was the only job I could find. And at the end of the job, it put me in the band room to clean the band room. So I would clean it, vacuum it, and then I would sneak on the drums for the last 10 minutes before I'd catch the activity bus home. So he actually discovered me as a student on the drums, and that's when he recognized my talent. Said, he's a kid, you got an amazing rhythmic gift. I need you in the stage band, the swing choir, and I joined all the school bands because of that janitor job. I had been trying to get in that band program since the fourth grade, and every year I was turned down because they said there's too many drummers, we don't need any drummers. And it wasn't until I took that janitor position that got me into the door, and that's what started my whole career.
Now that's a great story because it just comes completely. So you had never, you wanted to be a drummer,
Yeah,
but you didn't have
yeah,
the opportunity to
right.
do that until you had access to the drum set, is what I'm
Yeah,
hearing. And once you got
that's
access
exactly.
to the drum set, you're self-taught?
Yeah, I immediately started uh, teaching myself, but I immediately, with my own money, I got a local guy to teach me some basic stuff. So I was always investing in myself. So I took private lessons from the best people I could find in the Southern Oregon region where I lived, and I spent all my money on drum books and drum lessons. So, but I mean, basically, God had given me a gift from the first day I got on the drum set. I could play. I wasn't great, but I could play, and that's something you can't give yourself. So I always tell people, whenever you succeed in life, don't get too arrogant, because whatever you're good at is because God enabled you to be good at it. I was given the gift of rhythm, and just as you're given the gifts that you have, and so I always go, hey. God is the giver of the gift, but then we must turn it into more. It's the parable of the talents. He gives you 5 talents, but you've got to multiply them. So the main thing in our life is to multiply whatever it is that God has given us. And so I've been very diligent to multiply the gift of a drummer, the gift of a speaker, the gift of a writer, and the gift of a teacher. Those are the only things I have. But I would never act like I've been able to do these things on my own. I've been able to do them because I was gifted to do them. I just did my part in turning them into more. Which is really an act of faith, and which is the only thing I know that really pleases God, is when you live by faith, and that's what I've done.
What do you hope people will take away from reading the memoir, the book?
I know that they will walk away. If I would describe it in 4 words, it is hopeful, hilarious, heartbreaking, and heartwarming. And I think people will walk away being completely inspired, and they'll walk away going, I can do this. If you're a mother, you'll be inspired from my mother's life and from her love, and you'll go, I can be a better mother if this mother could do it with 7 children. If you're somebody who has a dream, you'll go, I can do this. This kid was able to do it. It's the dream that God put in my heart, was to touch people with my story. He gave me this amazing story that's a combination of like Rudy, Rocky, The Blind Side meets Forrest Gump. I mean, that's my life. None of the things that happened to me were supposed to happen to me, like Forrest Gump. He ended up like in the White House, and he ended up with Elvis. That's my life. I ended up traveling with Paul Allen, the fourth richest guy in the world. I ended up with the most famous people in the world. But I was the kid who dug my clothes out of a Goodwill drop-off box. I lived in a car with my mother and my siblings. All these things weren't supposed to happen to this kid, but God made all those things possible. So that keeps me humble, and that's the story He gave me to inspire people to never give up, never quit. God can do anything. All He needs is faith and your hard work and perseverance and a little love. And I was able to do it through the love of my mother and my family
Yeah.
and the few people that sewed into me.
Zorro, thanks so much for coming on the program. The name of the book there is Maria's Scarf, and it's a memoir, and it sounds like just an awesome read.